This is Eric coming at you from just outside Hartford, Connecticut. And for the first time in a little bit, we are live. It's been a while, but it's been long overdue. So here we are, live, discussing the 2020 NHL Playoffs since the play-in round is done. If you haven't seen it, we do have a video up already discussing it. But this will be HartLandSportz 2020 NHL Playoff Predictions. So if you haven't already seen that play-in round, definitely watch that recap. But today, it won't be just me doing my predictions. Today, we have a special guest. You all know him. You all remember him. It's Patrick. How you doing, Patrick?
Doing pretty good on this nice morning here we got going. Definitely curious to see what your thoughts are. I'm sure you're curious as my thoughts as these predictions are for these upcoming playoffs that start later this evening.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be good. I'm excited. I'm excited. Hockey is officially back. Yeah, we had the play-in round. But, you know, you're a Bruins fan. I'm a Flyers fan. Neither of our teams are going to get eliminated in that round, so there wasn't as much pressure. It's just kind of kick back, relax, watch, enjoy. I don't know if you felt the same way as I did there, but...
Mine was more kick back, relax, and suck.
Yeah.
And hope we play better. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, all I'm going to say is if I would have worn a Flyers hat or something in New Hampshire during the Flyers-Bruins game, I probably would have gotten some pretty ugly looks when people saw that the Bruins lost. But...
yeah, definitely.
I was good. My friend, big Bruins fan, didn't say anything to him. You know, we just talked about the score, but I did make sure to call Patrick because he had been talking a lot of trash from March to July, March to August, and I made sure to give him a phone call. I couldn't hear him because all the people talking next to me, but but anyway, so we're going to jump into this video here with our predictions and everything like that. So my question to you, Patrick, I'll let you decide. You want to start discussing the East or the West?
We can start with the West because I think we'll have a lot more to talk about with the Eastern Conference. So
That's fair. You know, if you watch some of my recent videos, I've been trying to change it up. So like this past MLB Week 3 recap, I started with the West. Normally I don't do that. I just, you know, it's not fair to people who like Western teams to sit there and have to watch the whole video. And I feel that way because when I'm watching something or reading something, they always put, for example, AFC first or AL first. And as an NL fan, NFC fan, it gets really irritating. You have to scroll through half the article to even see something that applies to you. But without further ado, so I just want to double check with you. You want to go 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, 4 v 5?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, sure.
Okay, perfect. So, of course, for those of you wondering, like I said, we already discussed the play-in round, so we're not going to do that. But we have the 1-seeded Vegas Golden Knights playing the 8-seeded Chicago Blackhawks. And I will let Patrick start off with his predictions in that series.
Oh man, so we got one team, Vegas, who, you know, a few seasons ago went all the way to the final, ended up losing to the Capitals. But I don't know, honestly. In this series here, I definitely think Chicago has a chance. That not only being because I don't think Vegas has been the best team this year, but the fact that the Chicago managed to knock off the Edmonton Oilers. Now there is some cons to that argument because, for example, this series is best of 7. The one before was best of 5, so all you had to win was 3 games out of that one. So that could definitely be a factor. But I definitely think Chicago has a chance to at least win this series in the playoffs. And I did predict, because I filled out a bracket, did the bracket challenge. I did predict they could do it in 5 games. I don't think Fleury will have the best start. I think Vegas can take game 1. Obviously, there's no home team because everything is in Edmonton for the West. But I think Fleury can easily manage game 1, and as long as Chicago responds with a game 2 win, I think Chicago can go on and win the next 3 after that. So I said 5 games for that one. I know you may not mention your game predictions, but I definitely think Kane's been pretty decent in the series with Edmonton. Jonathan Toews, like I said, and of course they have the old faces like Andrew Shaw and Crawford, I don't know about Crawford. And the interesting thing about this, I don't know if you remember, so obviously, um, the whole Subban and was
Minor.
this, yeah, the
Yeah.
whole Leonard trade is so they're going up against each other. Is that correct? Like I don't know. Obviously, we don't
Yes,
know the
that is correct.
starting goaltendies, but yeah, that'll be interesting to see going head to head like that. And yeah, so I definitely predicted Chicago. What about you?
It's a very surprising prediction, but who the heck knows what this year? Everything's up in the air. Who the heck saw the Bruins as the 4 seed? Who the heck saw the Blackhawks and the Canadians making the freaking playoffs in the first place? Who the heck saw the New York Rangers make win the number one pick? Like, who saw any of this? Who saw this? So it is possible for the Blackhawks. I mean, the thing with the Blackhawks is they have a lot of veterans that know how to play, but they have a lot of playoff experience. Obviously, you mentioned Tays, Kane, Crawford. But the problem is Crawford is such a freaking question mark this year. Who the heck knows what Corey Crawford you're going to be getting? So Vegas will win this series. To me, it will be the inverse of what Patrick said. To me, it'll be a 4-1 series victory for Vegas. I think there's just too much going on for Vegas. They're they were one of the two hottest teams before we had the whole break, along with the Flyers, and they seem to carry this momentum in. They swept the play-in round. Again, play-in round's different than the playoffs. I get that, but I think Vegas has enough firepower in them, and they got a heck of a goaltending duo that even if Fleury struggles, I think that Laner will step in and do very well against his old team. But that's that. So when we get to the 2-seeded Colorado Avalanche playing the 7th-seeded Arizona Coyotes. Now, if this was last season, and I'm going to pretend that Kessel's still on the Coyotes for whatever reason, even though I know he was added this offseason, I'd say the Coyotes would be a sleeper. But last year, Colorado got some very valuable playoff experience. And I think that very valuable playoff experience is going to really help that team. I think they're easily going to beat the Coyotes. Coyotes, I'm surprised they got past Nashville in the first place, but I think the Avalanche will take this series. It won't be that close. To me, it'll probably be a 4-2 series because Phil Kessel is going to really help Arizona. Taylor Hall is going to help Arizona. But I just think Colorado's too good on offense. It's going to be a high-scoring series to me because really there's not a lot of good goaltending on either side. So that's my prediction, 4-2 Colorado. How about yourself?
That's interesting. I had the same exact prediction, 4-2, but in favor of the Coyotes.
Ooh.
It's interesting. Somehow I just feel like the Avalanche may have been a regular season team this year. I don't think they can have enough energy and firepower in the playoffs. I mean, obviously, regardless of those games they recently played last week, I just think Arizona has it. Now, you'll as far as how far Arizona will go, you'll see as we tell you more about the predictions. But I think Arizona definitely has a chance. Like you said, I mean, we got Kessel, corn dog man, for God's sakes. I mean, first of all, we don't know how many corn dogs this guy had in the break, all right? But clearly, he didn't have enough because he's actually playing good. so, so then you got William, what is it? William Ekman Larson, Clayton Keller. He has good days, he has bad days. You're never really gonna know. Connor Garland is a good player that's been standing out. So yeah, Colorado, you got Nathan McKinnon, but I think you have more core players with a team like Arizona. But put it this way, I'll say core players to get past the first round in this instance against the Avalanche. Um, so yeah, all right, now we'll move on to the next series, which is Dallas Stars against the Calgary Flames. I think we might have the same prediction on this one, but I definitely predicted Calgary Flames winning this one. Um, I don't know if you had watched the videos from a while back when we had the play-in round, but did I? I'm trying to remember. Did I have the Calgary Flames going through? I think I may have.
I think
It
you
might
got
have
the
been.
Flames going pretty far, yeah.
Yeah, I think I had the Flames go to the West Final, but this
Or they
matchup, oh my
lost.
God, I think this is either 4 or 5 games. I think Dallas could get swept here. Um, Dallas has
Interesting.
been an iffy team throughout the season. people like Tyler Sagan, I don't think have put in as much work as they could have. They got, Alexander Radulov. They got, um, what's that guy? There's another guy. I forget his name. Another forward. Klingberg, John Klingberg. I think he's
Talking
forward.
about Rupe Hines or Hintz?
Rupe Hintz, or whatever his name was.
Whatever, yeah, whatever his name is.
But they just don't have. I mean, you look at Calgary. I mean, you got Lindholm, you got Johnny Hockey, you got Matt Tkachuk, which everybody hates. I mean, honestly, I
Not
feel like
everybody.
if Tkachuk just gets another a star player injured like he did to Winnipeg, they'll sweep the series. I don't know if you saw that whole instance with the Scheifele thing, but
Oh yeah.
definitely yeah. So I definitely got to see Calgary in like 4 or 5 games. So yeah.
That's a very bold prediction, but I don't necessarily disagree with you. So I was kind of torn on this one. Dallas is probably the favorites if you go by the betting lines and all that good stuff, but it's a really good series. It's just going to come down to me, the goaltenders and everything, goaltenders and defense, because your offense can get ice cold. We saw that with Edmonton. Outside of McDavid, nobody was producing. McDavid led the league in points in the play-in round, and he still couldn't advance, losing in 4 games. So offense isn't everything. I'm happy you discussed the offense because now I don't have to. It's going to be a very, very close series. It's going to be a physical series because players are going to go for Tkachuk more likely than not. There is veteran leadership in Dallas, but the problem is they never really have great runs. So I think the young Calgary Flames will be able to pull the upset here. It's going to be a close series. Probably, it wouldn't shock me if this goes to 7, but I think it'll go to 6 in Calgary's Calgary's favor. And it, like I said, it will be a close series, but I think Calgary just has a bit more oomph to them. I think they just match up well against the Stars. And last but not least here, in the West, for the first round at least, we have the St. Louis Blues playing the Vancouver Canucks. Now, if you would have told me this would be a matchup back in March, I would have said St. Louis is going to sweep that series. Hands down, no questions asked. But from what we saw in the play-in round for both teams, the play-in round robin, Vancouver is going to take this series. Vancouver seems hungry. Vancouver seems eager. And St. Louis didn't look good. St. Louis, as you know, got 1 point in the round robin. They went to overtime and they lost a game. They lost all 3 games, though, everything considered. They're cold. Vancouver, on the flip side, they played Minnesota. They lost game 1, but then they came back with a passion and won games 2, 3, and 4. So I think Vancouver is going to take this series. It's going to be a close one, but I think the Blues' magic run is done. Yeah, Tarasenko's back, but he didn't look that hot coming back. So unfortunately for them, I think that Vancouver will take this victory. And, their young guys are looking hungry, ready to play. I keep saying hungry, but it's what they are. They have that hunger in the eyes. And I think Vancouver will be very happy with their victory over the Blues. It's one of those series I don't think I'm going to drop a prediction on for games, but if I had to go there, I would probably say 4-1 in Vancouver's favor. But how about yourself?
I'm thinking alike actually. Before I was actually thinking St. Louis might have a chance, but now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, we saw the way that Vancouver played within the last 2 weeks. They have very, very important key players, like Elias Pettersson. I don't know if you saw, by the way, that one instance where he got hit from behind by that other guy,
Yep.
and that kind of stirred up contra. I forget the guy it was that hit him, but Vancouver's definitely got key players. St. Louis, I think they have it, but I don't think the mindset is going to be there. Obviously, coming off of a cup win last year, I don't think they're prepared to go all the way back to the final again. Because yeah, they've lost a few players. They still got their basic core players, but I don't think the mindset's there as much as it was last year. So I predicted it'd be like 5 games, 4-1 in favor of Vancouver, and it would I do think it would be a high-scoring series, um, but it would just definitely favor the Vancouver Canucks. Um, so yeah, let's continue this. We'll work the West all the way to the Western Final Champ, our predictions, and then we'll go over to the East and do the same. Um, so looking at the second round, so we have the five. So the teams that I had go through, that would play each other would be the Canucks versus the Blackhawks. Which is my 5 seed versus the 8 seed, and then
What would they do that though? I thought that it would be the Canucks. In your case, the Canucks versus the Flames, and then the Avalanche or the Coyotes versus Blackhawks. I thought that's how they're going to do it.
let me double check on that. But that's what my hold on one second. That's what my bracket had generated.
That's what's okay. If that's how they're going to do it, that's fine. We'll go with like that.
My
So
5 seed playing the 8 seed, and then yeah.
okay,
Um,
hang on. Are you on the bracket challenge thing
yeah,
online? Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna quickly hop on and get mine taken care of.
Okay,
In
so
that case.
I'll just start talking about it while you're doing that. So,
Cool.
so my 5 seed Vancouver versus the 8 seed Chicago, and then my 6 seed Calgary versus I predicted the 7 seed Coyotes. Um, so I'll talk about those two real quick, and then we'll go to Eric with his predictions on the second round there. So I definitely think Vancouver could beat Chicago. I think after the first round, Chicago getting too all hyped over the Vegas win. I think they could definitely start slacking off against the Vancouver Canucks. And then players like Elias Pettersson, and the other forwards and defensemen, with the help of decent goaltending, can pull off a win in 6 or 7 games. Another reason I think Chicago might be slowing down definitely is because I think their goaltending will start slacking off. I mean, they got people like Subban in goal and Corey Crawford, which obviously is known in the last couple seasons not to be the best, especially since they haven't been in the playoffs. Because now we're starting the real playoffs. His experience level I don't think is there. And I know it's been kind of the same with Vancouver, but I think their experience overall in recent seasons has helped them a lot there. So definitely I would say Vancouver in 6 or 7 games, and then going to the Calgary and Arizona game, which is a 6v7 seed. I definitely think Calgary could pull off a win in 5 or 6 games. Like I was mentioning the players before, you got Elias Lindholm, Johnny Gaudreau, Matthew Tkachuk. Their goaltending is iffy, but compared to the Arizona goaltending, you like Darcy Kemper and stuff, I think they can allow definitely score more goals, and I think the offense of Arizona will definitely show. It'll definitely show. There'll definitely be. The Arizona might take the first game or two, but I think Calgary will definitely battle back. Um, and it could go the other way, where Calgary takes the first 2 games, then they allow a game or two for Arizona to win, because obviously being played in Canada, Calgary could have that whole feel of being not too far from Edmonton, have that home team feel, even though they may not be wearing the home sweaters. So there is a whole mental aspect there that could really favor the Calgary Flames. But yeah, so I definitely Calgary and probably 6 or 7 games, I'd have to say, which will leave my Western Conference final to Vancouver and Calgary. So yeah, let's go to Eric now. He should be about set for the predictions on his second round on the West.
That's a pipe dream, man. Apparently, I have the wrong password saved, so now I have to do everything else, which is kind of ridiculous. But so tell me if I'm right. So hypothetically, since I have the 1, 2, what is it? The 1, 2, 5, and 6 seeds, it should be the 6v1, right? Since it's going to be, it should be the the lowest seed playing the highest seed in the next round.
Yeah, so the winner of the Vegas and Golden Knights series plays the winner of the St. Louis Vancouver series.
So that's how they're doing it?
Yeah, and then the winner of the Colorado Arizona plays the winner of the Dallas Calgary.
Tell you what. Can you do me a favor and just do your last Western prediction, please?
Okay.
Please and thank you.
So, you mean like why you want to do a Western Conference final prediction?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So we got in my Western Conference final, like I said, I got the Vancouver Canucks, which are the 5 seed, going against the 6 seed, or my 6 seed prediction, which was the Calgary Flames. And like I predicted in my prediction video a couple weeks ago, I think Calgary will definitely win and go to the final. This I think will be one of the few 7-game series in the Western side, if any. And this will be a hard fought. I'm predicting this will be a really physical game. A lot of Calgary players will definitely, like Kachuk, will probably go after skill players like Pedersen and stuff. Definitely be a high-scoring game. And it might be a brutal one. Obviously, unlike Calgary, Vancouver doesn't have many physical players. But that will be definitely interesting to see. And definitely probably 7 games, a high-scoring series. So yeah, I'll definitely predict Calgary winning the West and facing the winner of the Eastern final, which we'll talk about shortly. But anyways, yeah, so basically the way I had Calgary getting there is, they beat Dallas Stars in the first round, and then beat the Arizona Coyotes, and then beat the Vancouver Canucks to go to the Stanley Cup final. Now let's get Eric's prediction, starting with the second round of the West.
All right, so I'm going to start off with the Vegas Golden Knights playing the Calgary Flames. So, sorry about that delay there, everybody. That's just making me enter my password, even though I know I'm typing the right one. I have to change my password, whatever. And so Vegas versus Calgary is going to be an interesting physical series. But, you would mention the home ice feel for Calgary because, Canada. But that might work against them because they might be saying, hey, this is our rival stadium. Because they are a younger team, so that very well might hurt them. So I think Vegas, they're still hot. I think Vegas is going to take this series. It's going to be probably a 4-2 series. I think Calgary is going to play a very physical series, as you had mentioned. I think Kachuk's going to play a physical series, but I won't be shocked if he gets his butt kicked in by Ryan Reeves. So Reeves is one of the few players in this league that can stand up to Kachuk. So, and as for the Colorado-Vancouver series, I'm still really torn on this one. Because when I was originally doing my bracket, and I actually had to fix it, but I did have Vancouver playing Colorado, and this series, I was looking at the stats, and they are so similar. You go by goals, it's very similar. You go by power play, Vancouver has an edge, but you go by penalty kill, Colorado has an edge. It's just such a very close series. Vancouver, obviously they're a very high-scoring team, but they also allow a lot of goals. I think that's going to work against them. I think Colorado, and I hate to have the 1 seed playing the 2 seed, but that's just how I see it. I think Colorado is going to get past the Canucks. I think their offense is too good for the Canucks to outscore them. It's going to be a very high-scoring series because neither team really has those elite goaltenders. I mean, Markstrom's very good, don't get me wrong, but with no defense in front of him, there's no one to help him. I think Colorado is just going to be able to sneak past them. And then for my Western Conference Finals, again, this is a tough series for me, but it's a really tough one. And I love Vegas's goaltenders. I really think their goalies are great. They have a very strong goaltending duo, obviously the best in the league, arguably the best in the league. You know, with Fleury and Lanner versus, who's going to really stand up to that? Tuukka Rask and Jaroslav Halak. Carter Hart and Brian Elliott, those are groups right there, but you can't top two top 15 goalies on their team. But Colorado has a strong, strong, strong offense. I think Colorado, again, I mentioned the playoff experience before, I'll mention it here. I think Colorado making that deep run last year is going to help them. And yes, I am aware that Vegas has made 2 deep runs in their existence. But I think Colorado is going to be more eager to win. I think Colorado has more ability to win. So, who knows? Who knows? I think it'll be the Golden Knights winning, but it will be something. I think it'll be the Avalanche winning. It'll be something. I think it'll go to 7, but I think Colorado's offense is just going to be a little bit too much for Vegas. But now we're going to jump to the East. Finally. And
All
of
right,
course,
yeah.
of course, you got to start with the lovely 1-seeded Philadelphia Flyers taking on the 8-seeded Montreal Canadiens. And let's just say Philadelphia, hottest team coming before the pause. They were 9-1, the only 9-1 team going into the pause. Vegas was up there too. I think they were 8-2. So it's gonna be something. I think Philadelphia is gonna take this series. Carter Hart looked great. Brian Elliott looked great in the playing games. Tampa Bay is a team that always is going to begin giving the Flyers trouble. And the fact that they held them to 1 goal, yes, that's without Stamkos. I get that. That was a real eye-opener to me. So I think Philadelphia will take this series hands down. How about yourself?
Definitely agree. You look in how offensively the Flyers have played, not only going 3-0 in the round robin series, but with decent, really, really good players. Elliott in goal, Patrick Konechny, or Travis Konechny, I don't know how you like yours. They'll definitely play a lot better. So with Montreal, I don't know. This could be. I think this will be a lower scoring game than I would think it would be. It'd probably be a pretty good physical one if you think of it. Players like Shea Weber on the Canadiens. Obviously, you got the former coach, Stanley Cup coach of the Bruins behind the bench for Montreal. But definitely think Philadelphia can pull it off within 6 games. But yeah, definitely be a rough series. Not high scoring. And yeah. Moving on. We got the 2 seed versus the 7 seed, Tampa Bay versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. I think, believe it or not, I think the Blue Jackets can pull it off in 5 games. It's not going to be a sweep like last year, because so far Tampa has played better than expected in the round robin, in my opinion, because they won a game. So I predicted 5 games. I think Tampa might get the first one and over exaggerate themselves, and the next 4 will go to Columbus. Obviously, players like Stamkos that aren't playing, but with the other good players like Cirelli and the goaltending they have is solid, but I think Tortorella can definitely push his team hard like he did last year to get past the Lightning. And like I said, knowing that they swept them last year, their confidence level is definitely really high in this series um, against an opponent they know they can beat. So, what about you?
Columbus is getting a real treat with Stamkos out. He's more likely than not going to suit up for this tournament. Or, if he does, it will probably be in the conference finals. Because Cooper is being very, very quiet about Stamkos. He just, before they were going day by day, and now he just says he's out indefinitely. Now, of course, we know hockey, very vague on injuries, always have been, always has been, always will be. So out indefinitely could be one day, it could be a month, it could be 3 months. We don't know. Hockey's just very vague on that, which I'm fine with. Columbus has another edge because Victor Hedman is expected to miss at the minimum game 1. Now, after Hedman went down for the Lightning against the Flyers, I don't know if you saw it, but it was just he did it to himself. He wasn't hit or anything. It wasn't like a foul play or anything like that. But Columbus, without Hedman, Columbus playing them without Hedman's a big positive. Those are two key players, two of their top 3 players. Obviously, Kucherov's the best of the whole team, but the Lightning played very well without Hedman. They were really playing this aggressive offensive game. And if they can do that to Columbus, I don't know if Columbus has the firepower to rally back and try to beat them on offense. But I think what's going to happen is I think Columbus is going to take game 1 because Tampa's going to play too aggressive. I think Tampa's going to start playing too conservative, and Columbus is going to capitalize. I think Tortorelli is a better coach by far than Cooper. I think Columbus is going to take this series in a bit of an upset, which of course will pit them against the Flyers, but it's going to be a heck of a series. I'd have to say it's going to be in 6 games, 4-2 Columbus. Then we get to the Washington Capitals versus the New York Islanders, and that's another tough series. I don't know how I feel about this series because it's going to be such a close one. There is a physicality on both sides of the puck, of course. So, of course, you got the best fighter in the league, Tom Wilson, and this is a good battle of the Metropolitan Division. And I know that they basically split the series 2-2, and the goal differential was at 0 because I know it was like a 1-point win, 1-point loss, 2-point loss, 2-point win, or something like that. So it's really going to come down to who's hot and who's not. And with the way that the Capitals are playing in the play-in round, I do think that we very well might see the Islanders pull the upset. But I think the Capitals have enough common sense to understand, okay, if Holtby struggles, we need to pull him. And if Ovi can catch fire, the Capitals will win this series. The thing is, will Ovechkin catch fire? Which Capitals team will we see? Will we see the Capitals team that was dominating the Bruins in the first period, towards the end of the first period? Or will we see the Capitals team that looked lost and confused for basically the rest of the play-in round, the round robin? It's a really tough one, but I do think the Islanders will squeak out the victory. I think Wilson will deliver some bad hit that will get him in some trouble and will knock out some Islanders player, but I don't think it'll be a key player. I think that will swing the momentum heavily in the Islanders' favor. Islanders in 7, though. How about yourself?
Oof, I definitely would say a 7-game series as well, but I predicted Washington. And not only for the skill factor with Ovechkin, obviously, but I think the physicality is just like completely outweighted in Washington's favor with Wilson, Gudis, even Ovechkin delivering big hits compared to the Islanders, which just really have Matt Martin and a few other players that aren't really big, and I think that's going to be a huge factor. And in my opinion, that's also a series that could be determined within the first game. depending how each team plays. But I definitely think 7 games. Goaltending wise, what was it? Was it Sam Sonoff that was out indefinitely? I think. I
Yes.
think it was Sam Sonoff. So they have Holtby, and then they have I forget the other guy. But and then for the Islanders, um, they have Varlamov, which he's pretty decent. So definitely would have to say the Capitals in 7 games. Yeah, like you said, Wilson might get suspended, but that's not going to stop the Capitals. I think if anything, I feel like instead of motivating the Islanders, that would motivate the Capitals more to continue playing physical. Um, because you take a hit to make a play and it'll win you the game. So, um, that's my prediction there. And then going to the last matchup in the first round of the Eastern Conference, we have the former Eastern Conference champs, Boston Bruins, versus the Carolina Hurricanes. And this is an interesting match because we're looking at 2 teams that when they met last year in the Eastern Conference final, the Hurricanes got swept by Boston after sweeping the New York Islanders. Um, and this is interesting because my prediction of what I kind of have right now in my bracket is that the Hurricanes would sweep Boston. Um, and in my opinion, there's like a 50-50 chance coming from a Bruins fan. Looking how badly, in my opinion, they played these 3 round robin games, which they lost all 3. Um, they really did not show any emotion to want to play the game. And Rask was trying to hold them up every game, and obviously he couldn't do it because their defense for the Bruins was too weak, and you can't just win a game off of a goaltender doing all the work, which would be Tuukka Rask, obviously. In terms of the Hurricanes, they're really showing positives. I mean, they managed to pull off the 3-game sweep against the Rangers to knock them out of the play-in rounds, which was kind of surprising because I thought that would at least go to 4 or 5 games. And I'm sure other people could vouch for that, even the Rangers fans. So that was a surprise there. So I'm curious to see what they have in store, and I think they can definitely, with Aho, Teravainen, the good forward skills they have, a good, decent player like Svechnikov, as long as he doesn't get knocked down in a fight, will have a chance to pull off the sweep here and make it a big upset, which, like we talked about, you brought this up, could put the head coach's Bruce Cassidy of the Bruins, his career in hot water for sure. Because up until the stopping point, they were perfect, and they completely blew it. And that might mean a change for some staffing. So definitely, I predicted Carolina a 4-game sweep over the Bruins. What about you?
So I meant to mention too, once you mentioned the goaltenders for the Islanders, I completely regretted it for not mentioning it. But I just want to say, remember Thomas, what is Grace?
Yeah, Grace. Yeah.
Thomas Grace. He's a free agent this season. He will walk. They are getting Ilya Sorokin. Do you know who Ilya Sorokin is?
I don't think I've really known him.
So he's a KHL star that just signed a 2-year deal with them. That includes this in the 2019-2020 season. Watch him. He's going to be a good goalie. Islanders fans, don't worry. You got some help on the way. Now, comes down to the Bruins Hurricanes series. And unfortunately, I think the Cants are going to take the series. I hate them. I don't want to see them advance, but I think the Cants will take the series. They're just too hot right now. You know, the Cants are 3-0 in the play-in round, obviously, but they were playing the Rangers. Fact of the matter is, the Cants are in the position where they want revenge for last season. The Bruins are vulnerable. I'm not going to go into player personnel and everything like that for the Bruins because you already basically covered that. It's your team. I think the Cants are going to take this series. I don't think it'll be a sweep. I think it'll be a 4-1 or 4-2 in favor of Carolina Hurricanes. But now we're going to go to the Eastern Conference semifinals where we have the Flyers taking on the Blue Jackets, of course, the 1 seed, 7 seed for me. And I think the Flyers will take this series. It's going to be a good series still. So I'm trying to remember how the series actually went this past year. I think the Flyers swept them. Yep, Flyers swept the series. So that bodes very well for Philly. I think the Blue Jackets are in some trouble. But the fact is, when they lost all their stars this past offseason, everybody said, oh, Blue Jackets are done. They're going to tank. They're going to give up. I got to give them credit. This team's done a lot better than anyone was expecting them to do. And, you know, congratulations to the Blue Jackets. You made it to me, you make it to the Eastern Conference semifinals. But how about yourself?
Well, I think the Blue Jackets are going to do what I predicted the Blackhawks do. After winning the first series against the Lightning, just like the Blackhawks, and my prediction would be the Vegas Golden Knights, they would burn off and lose in 5 or 6 games to the Philadelphia Flyers. Yeah, this is going to be a rough series as well. Like you said, the Flyers did sweep the Blue Jackets, which I guess helps in their favor of the confidence level, I guess, in playing the team. But obviously playoff hockey is a lot faster paced and different than regular season hockey. Especially before a pandemic, when teams really want to get that win and have that opportunity to hold up a trophy in an interesting time that we're in. So, yeah, definitely Flyers over the 7-seeded Blue Jackets. And if I had to guess, I would say 6 games. And there could be a game or two in there where one team shuts out the other. And in that case, I would think it would be like the Flyers shutting out the Blue Jackets, like 2 or 3-0. But we'll see how that goes. But definitely got Flyers over the Blue Jackets. And going to the other semifinal, I had Washington beat the Islanders, and the Carolina Hurricanes beat the Bruins. So Washington and Carolina, which was a first-round matchup last season, and Carolina won in 7 games. Well, I'm not really going to predict that this year. I'm definitely thinking that the Capitals can pull it off in 5 or 6 games. Like you said with the Hurricanes and Bruins, I think the Capitals do want revenge for that embarrassing loss in Game 7 last year to the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes really haven't lost many players, neither have the Capitals, but the Capitals are going to come out fighting more. Knowing they've already been past the first round, just like the Hurricanes are, the Capitals are definitely going to want to get to that Eastern final. And they'll do anything, whether it's another bad hit coming from Wilson, or the Hurricanes having another trend of getting bad penalties at the wrong times in games, because that's definitely cost them a lot of regular season games by taking penalties in the dying minutes of a game. So yeah, I definitely say in 5 or 6 games, I'd have the Capitals win the series.
Interesting. So obviously, I have the Hurricanes playing the Islanders, and this will be a close series, but the Hurricanes, I had looked this one up. Hurricanes swept the season series against the Islanders. Granted, they only played 3 of 4 games. And also, I would like to point out that the Metropolitan Division is the freaking best division there is, because in both of our brackets, we only have Metropolitan teams advancing. Just want to point that out to you. Metropolitan, the GOATs. But, like I said, the Cants, they're playing hot. And the Islanders were in more of a physical series. The Hurricanes were not. And I think the Hurricanes are going to be flying high on their, good victory over the Bruins, and to me. So I think the Cants will take the series over the Islanders, unfortunately. I don't think the Islanders have the playing on offense to exploit the suspect Carolina goaltending. But now we get to the Eastern Conference Finals with the Philadelphia Flyers taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. And to me, the Flyers, I didn't have to look this one up. I knew these stats off the top of my head. Flyers took 7 points in their 4 games against the Hurricanes. They crushed 3 of those games, and the one game that they lost went into overtime. The 3 games they won by 2 or more goals. Flyers will take this series. It won't be that close. It'll be a competitive series. I don't do game predictions for the Flyers, but it will be a good series for Flyers fans everywhere. Rejoice. To me, we're in the Stanley Cup. 4 wins away from Lord Stanley himself. But what it is the Flyers have this amazing depth that third line and that fourth line will be able to produce, and they will be able to feast on a weak third pairing on defense and a suspect second pairing on defense for the Hurricanes. And their goaltenders, the Flyers were able to put up 3 goals apiece against Halak, who, of course, Rask didn't play against the Flyers, but against Halak, Volevsky, and I believe they played Holtby. So those are 3 of the top goaltenders in the game. Yes, I do consider Halak a top goaltender, not the top, but they put up 3 goals against those 3 goalies. So I think that they're going to feast on Reimer and their former goalie, Mazarek. I think Mazarik's going to be able to take a win from the Flyers just because, he knows the team. He was on the team 2 years ago. But Flyers fans, rejoice. Stanley Cup Finals time, baby.
All right, so that's your prediction for the the Flyers and Hurricanes. I had the Flyers against the Capitals because Capitals beat the Hurricanes in my bracket. And just like you said, I had the Flyers going through to the Stanley Cup Final. It's interesting. This game, this series, if this happened, I think it would be a 7-game series for sure, and a really rough one. Probably one of the top ones in this Eastern side in terms of physicality and probably maybe even goal scoring. All the young players on the Flyers, all the either veterans or middle-aged players on the Capitals, and of course the physicality on both sides could be really rough. Now you look at the goaltending. Obviously, Elliott being the main goalie for the Flyers and Holtby being the main goalie.
Whoa, up. Carter Hart's main goalie.
Well, my bad.
Gotta correct you there.
Well, I'm not a Flyers fan, folks. I just got a correction from the #1 Flyers fan. I appreciate it.
I had to. Sorry.
So Carter Hart and Holtby. Obviously, Holtby be like, oh yeah, he has a lot more experience. But honestly, since Hart is obviously a younger guy, I think Holtby might get worn out by the time it comes to Game 5 or 6 in the series, and Carter Hart would stand his ground, and they'll be able to pull off the win in the seventh game. Definitely. So that would bring the Flyers they would make them, the Flyers, the Eastern Conference champs and take them to the Stanley Cup Final. And now we get to the most exciting moment, which would be who we predict would win Lord Stanley. So we'll turn it back to our fellow Flyers fan to see his prediction.
I got a question for you. How old do you think Carter Hart is?
If I had to guess,
I'll give you 2 ages because he's very close to turning a year older.
Okay.
How would you say?
28.
Ha! He's 21 years old. Turns 22 in a couple days.
Wow, I'm surprised actually.
You should be terrified of Carter Hart. And I flippin' love the Flyers, as you know. It's going to be one heck of a series. I have them playing the Avalanche. Again, how they got there. Colorado, I have Colorado beating the Coyotes, the Canucks, and the Golden Knights. I have the Flyers with a little bit of an easier series, if you want to call it that, beating the Canadiens, the Blue Jackets, and the Hurricanes. So this will be a very, very close series. This will be the one that I'll sweat about. But when they played their 2 games, it was a very close series. Each team won a game in their head-to-head when the Flyers and the Avalanche played. So It's gonna be a close series, and trust me, I intend, if the Flyers make the Stanley Cup final, I will be taking time off for work. I don't care. I will be watching the Flyers in the Stanley Cup final. I didn't really get to in 2010 because of school, and my parents were like, "Oh, you need to focus on schoolwork more than watching sports." So let's just say, I think the Flyers. I hope the Flyers can take this series. I really do. This is going to be one heck of a series. I want to say the Flyers are going to win, but it's just I'm torn. I won't be shocked if the Avalanche can take it over the Flyers. I won't be shocked if the Flyers can win over the Avalanche. But I think the thing that's going to push the Flyers over the edge is the fact that Oscar Lindblom is on this team right now. He's traveling with the team, or he's with the team, I should say, in the hub city. I think having Lindblom there and having him go to the stadium is just a huge, huge morale boost for the Flyers. I think having young Carter Hart is such a morale boost. I think Claude Giroux knows he needs a ring. I think Jacob Voracek, who's yet to play, who did not play in the round robin due to, being, quote, unfit to play, which I know you love. I think getting him back and all the veterans, I think the veterans know this is potentially their themselves last real chance at competing. So I think the Flyers veterans, including James Van Riemsdyk, who's very likely to be traded this offseason, I think they know this is their time. They need to make a stand. Remember, JVR was on the team during the Cup run. I'm pretty sure Giroux was on the team during the Cup run back in 2010. So they have the Cup experience, and that's in front of fans. It's going to be a very close series. It's going to be a very physical series to an extent. There's going to be some hits, but not a ton. I think the Flyers will take the series, and, oh, man, off to you. I'll let you do your Stanley Cup final prediction.
Well, like I said, I had the Flyers as well winning the East, and then I had the Calgary Flames winning the West. Now, first of all, let me just say this. If the Flyers win the Cup this year, that's going to be the biggest slap in the face to Henrik Lundqvist. What can I say? The guy kind of, like, the guy is so, what is he, like in his late 30s now? Like 37 or 38 or something? I don't remember, but, like, that'd be a huge slap in the face, and you saying Carter Hart is like 21. That's crazy. But, so, yeah, I had the Calgary Flames versus the Flyers, and I definitely think the Flyers could pull off the win in 6 or 7 games, depending how the first 2 go. I think if this was a matchup, Calgary and Philadelphia, you would see, and probably you would start to realize why I didn't like Matthew Tkachuk.
You haven't watched Ottawa play. Watch Ottawa play and tell me you still like Brady Tkachuk.
The problem is Ottawa sucks. So I feel like I'll never see them play unless I watch a game of them against Bruins. But that's for good. But yeah, well, just like the guy you're talking about, his brother, Mr. Brady Tkachuk. This guy as well gets under the skin, just like Marjan does of other players. And he'll try to go for cheap shot hits, even though the guy isn't like huge, well built, and then big players on the Flyers will want to go after him and beat the heck out of him. So
Kevin Hayes.
But obviously on both sides, you got Konechny, you got Johnny Hockey. Another high scoring series, but in 6 or 7 games, Flyers I think will take the Cup for the first time since 1970 something. If I'm correct.
73, 74, if I'm correct, was it 73, 74 season? Or 74, 75? I think it was 73, 4. Because I think it was 72, 3, 73, 4.
So, of course, that would be huge for the sports team and the city itself, knowing as a few seasons ago the Eagles won.
Heck yeah.
So,
you guys wish we had the channel then. And,
man, the Calgary Flames will be pissed because the Calgary team hasn't won a Cup since '93, so it'll be another drought if they if that continuously drought of all those years.
It would be the Canada drought too, man. Since '95.
Honestly. So
for the record, it was 73, 4, 4, 5. So the last time the Flyers won the Cup was 74, 75. Over at the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, so that'd be interesting. I mean, if anything, no matter what happens, if our favorite teams didn't win the cup, we would both probably agree that we'd want a team to win it that hasn't won it in the past few years.
If
As
the
in,
Flyers don't win the cup, I will not be rooting for Carolina. I'll tell you that right now.
well, that's based on your bracket, though, right?
Nope, screw Carolina. I hope they get swept in the first round. I just don't think they will.
It's just not going to happen. They could get swept by Washington or Islanders. You never know. I don't know. But so there you have it. We both predicted the same team to win the cup, which is the Philadelphia Flyers. And I'm going to say something about the Flyers real quick. If you would have asked me who would have won the cup back in November, for example, I probably would not have said the Flyers. But due to their outbreak that they had and their continuously game-winning streaks that they had coming into January, February, up until the stoppage, that completely turns around things. Because honestly, that reminds me of how the Blues did last year.
Yep.
They completely had an outbreak in January and went all the way through. And they were, up until January, they were complete garbage, and they were fighting their own teammates, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the top reasons as well why I definitely think Flyers can win it all. Any other thoughts from you? Yeah.
If you would have asked me before the season started who I thought was going to win the cup, I would have told you Boston. And you would have said, yeah, that makes sense. And then when I watched the Flyers play the Blackhawks on opening day for the Flyers over in Czechia, or as you might say, the Czech Republic, which is not the correct name, but it's a more commonly known name at this point. I was excited, but then the Flyers go on this road trip. Early on, they go on the West Coast and they lose a couple games, including a garbage game to the Sharks that they shouldn't have lost, and I think they lost to the Canucks as well. But if they didn't, they went to overtime in one of those two games, and then they go on another garbage road trip in right around Christmas time, and they got kicked. They got the snot kicked out of them. And it shows that the Flyers are a team that if they can feel like they're playing at home, they're a completely different team. Carter Hart is a home goalie right now. He's 21. He's going to be 22 on the 13th. So he's a young goaltender. He needs to feel comfortable, and they've made Toronto feel like home. So I think Philadelphia really has a big advantage not playing on the road right now. And here's a good question to you. Do you think no matter what happens, there's going to be an asterisk by the title for the season?
I don't think so. Well, I mean, yes and no, because at the same time, yeah, it's everything's different with the whole format the playoffs was and everything. But at the same time, it's playoff hockey, and I think it should be like any other win, to be honest.
So you're saying that no matter who wins, we'll acknowledge them as champions? I'm fine with that.
I would say so, yeah.
It'll be something.
If anything, I mean, people could argue, like, the big teams that got knocked out earlier, like Toronto fans would argue, oh, I blame this whole 24...
Toronto fans choke every year anyway.
Oh, burn! We're going to have a rant video on Toronto eventually. But, no, but, Toronto fans, for example, or even Edmonton fans would be like, oh, if we didn't have this whole 2024 team playoff format, we would have gotten further or something. But I don't know. I think it's a win. It's a win, And I think if anything, a win this year is a well-deserved win. Especially if it's a team that nobody expected would win. So yeah. Any last thoughts?
Go Flyers.
Go Flyers. Of course, I'll be rooting for my Bruins, even though I'm having a little less hope on them. But and obviously, this video goes up. There may have already been some games played, but that's no problem. Yep. We'll have an update video probably in a few weeks, probably on like the conference finals videos or something. We'll have to see how that goes.
I'll do a recap video of the first round once the first round's over. If the Flyers lose, I'll be very upset. But, I'll do the video just like I do with MLB recaps. It'll probably be on a Monday or a Tuesday if it's possible, ideally. Otherwise, it's going to be a good Stanley Cup Finals, Stanley Cup playoffs. I'm excited. For the first time in my life, keep in mind I probably started following hockey around the 05-06 season, since 04-05 would have been the lockout. For the first time in my life as a Flyers fan, I'm excited about the playoffs, because other years it's just kind of like, cool, they're in the playoffs, but they're not looking that hot. And of course, the year they made the Stanley Cup Finals back in 2010, they were the 7th seed. So, yeah, only time in history that the 7th seed has hosted has been the home field, home ice, home rink for a Stanley Cup Conference Final. Because remember, the 8th seed were the Montreal Canadiens. But hopefully this is going to be one heck of a series, one heck of a playoffs, one heck of a Stanley Cup, and hopefully the Flyers can win so I can stop hearing all this garbage from Penguins fans that I know. I hope.
All right, well, this was definitely a fun video to talk about. Thanks for letting me come on here.
Oh, no. Thank you for joining me. We've had this discussion in the works for a little bit, and now that the playoffs are officially about to start, finally got you to join us. So thank you for joining. We appreciate it. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. This is HartLandSportz signing off, and make sure to stay safe, wear your mask, and all that good stuff.